Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the People's Channel, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all the interwebs. No channel works harder to keep you in the know about crypto. My name is Ben. Today we're doing a Sunday drive video. Got some fresh new clothes for Miami next week, right, for the Bitcoin conference. So this is where I drive to church to tell you what's happening in crypto. And today I specifically want to talk about two things that are kind of, opposite, and yet they're both really bad advice. And I don't mean they're exact opposites. What I mean by is, one of these pieces of advice is going to try to get you to hold when you should sell, and the other one is trying to get you to buy when you should wait. So let's talk about some of the worst crypto advice I've ever been given. We come up to Bitcoin 2022 next week in Miami. Very exciting stuff. I cannot get my camera straight these days in my life. Sorry about that. It's just the phone. But it reminded me of when I first got into crypto. When I go to these conferences, because I didn't know very much. I remember my very first conference was in Atlantic City in July of 2018. I was so excited to get to go. And, later on, of course, I would speak at these conferences, and, I would know a lot of the people that were speaking at these conferences. But back then, I was just kind of a fan of the crypto space. And, I was just starting my channel. I probably had maybe 2,000 subscribers at that time. And, it's so funny when I look back in 2017, 2018, when I was really getting, you guys know, I bought Bitcoin in 2012, sold it all like an idiot. 2017 is when I really went all in. And the point is, looking back on what I knew then compared to what I know now, it really is insane to think about the knowledge gap there, okay? So there are things that get said over and over and over in the crypto community, and my piece of advice to you, which is not the worst piece of advice, is to look deeper than the memes and the phrases and the slogans and things like that. So number one, worst piece of advice is buy the dip. I hate when people say buy the dip. Why? And they used to say BTFD. That used to be the big thing, right? Like buy the friggin' dip, I guess. But here's the thing about it. When people say buy the dip, that means when a price drops, come in and scoop up some of those coins for a cheap price. Now, sometimes it can be great advice. When you look at this week, we had a pretty big drop for a project. What project was it? There was an exploit, and the price was dropping considerably on the Ronin network, Axie Infinity, right? We saw the same thing with Thorchain last summer when there was a hack and there was a gigantic dip. We saw it with Phantom when Andre Cronje left. Those are good times to buy a dip, right? Because you're looking at a fundamental news reason that's pushed the price down. A lot of times that's going to be temporary. But I just remember in 2018, people would keep saying buy the dip. They said buy the dip all the way from $20,000 all the way down to $3,000, So if you're buying that entire way down, when people are saying buy the dip, you're going to run out of money. Not only are you going to run out of money, but you're not going to have money left aside to get good entry points, okay? So, when people say buy the dip, you've got to really look deeper than just, oh, price it down, let me go buy. You have to really think through that process. And is it a good time? A great way to get around that? Dollar cost averaging. If you want to buy dips, the best way to do it is buy the dips and the pumps, really, and just put the same amount in on a regular basis, whether it's weekly or monthly or, what may have you, is where you invest the same amount of money on a regular basis. That is much better than buying the dip, because there's so many question marks with buying the dip where the price will settle that you just don't know, as opposed to when you're dollar cost averaging, you're factoring in the ups and the downs, if that makes sense. You're buying Bitcoin at its average yearly price pretty much, unless there's just extreme volatility in a few day period. So that is the first piece of advice. Buy the dip. This is terrible advice. You should definitely, when you see that, you should question, why are they saying this? Are they saying this on Twitter for engagement? That's why most of them are doing it. Second piece of advice I would give you, or worst piece of advice to look at here, is diamond hands. Diamond hands, right? We're talking about one that is basically wanting you to buy an asset, whether or not taking into consideration it's about to go up or down. And then we have iron hands. And this is the opposite, right? Because this is saying, no matter what, Don't ever sell. Do not ever sell. You will get punished for selling. And yes, with Bitcoin over a long period of time, it has proven that hodling is not a bad strategy. You will win over time. But for a lot of you guys trying to change your life in the shorter term, not in the longer and the shorter term, right? I don't know what percentage of my audience is what I would consider to be, financially free, but I mean, it's probably 10% or less. I would believe so. The vast majority of people are in a position to where profits are a great thing. You may not have time to wait for the Bitcoin maxis to build a Citadel island of Bitcoin, to where 0.01 BTC is going to give you a nice, level of life or quality of life or luxury. Probably not going to happen. This meme of 1 BTC equals 1 BTC, yes, that is true. And eventually that may come to pass where, Bitcoin's a reserve currency and just holding Bitcoin is enough. But for now, cashing out is what people have to do on some level to be able to realize some of the gains that they have. Now, you don't have to cash out everything. But when prices are going up, you need to take profits. We've taken a lot of profits over this last few months. We've been taking those profits, and what we've been doing, we buying jet skis, we buying new Lambos. No. We've been buying real estate. We've been putting this money in other places that are going to make us money over the long term so we can build multiple revenue streams. And I think that's something, it's obviously the dream for a lot of people is to be able to do that. But if I just let it all sit in Bitcoin, and let's say we do go through a recession and let's say there's a giant housing bubble that pops. Well, what am I going to do? My crypto is going to drop dramatically, and I'm not going to have any real estate, or I'm not going to have any money, I'm not going to have any money set aside to be able to take it and go buy real estate if we do get a big housing crash. So the thing is, when it comes to these people that say iron hands or diamond hands or hold no matter what, they don't want you to make money. Because think about this. And this goes to the buy the dip too. When people are telling you to do these things, if everyone were to follow their advice, who does that work out best for? The person giving the advice. If you say buy the dip no matter what, just buy the dip, drops $1,000, buy the dip, drops 10 more $1,000, buy the dip. Because if everybody bought the dip, prices will go back up. Then if you look at the iron hands or diamond hands, when people tell you to have diamond hands, it's because they don't want you to sell because that affects their asset. Because if you sell, and a lot of people sell, the price goes down. That's right. Be careful who you listen to out there. Make sure you guys are getting, plenty of research, plenty of resources. Don't just take my word for it. I guess I'm LeVar Burton. That's all I got. Be blessed. Green Rainbow. Good boy out.